Working the waiver wire is critical to fantasy basketball success. With so many games, injuries, and rotation shifts throughout the marathon season, we'll need to rely on free agent stats to maximize fictitious rosters. So let's take a look at some hidden gems that you need to pick up. We'll start off with the point guards. First up, we've got Reggie Jackson of the Los Angeles Clippers, who is rostered in 65.9% of ESPN leagues. Jackson is averaging the most minutes and shots in his 10-year career, and has significant offensive responsibilities for a Clippers team that is lacking in shot creation outside of Paul George. There isn't much defensive upside here, but Jackson was tied for 13th in the league in three-pointers made entering Sunday's game with Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball. Dallas Mavericks' Jalen Brunson, who is rostered in 41% of leagues, has been tasked with the team's primary distributor in recent games with Luka Doncic out. He has scored at least 17 points in 5 straight games and has at least 5 assists in 7 of his last 8. The production is sure to slow down once Doncic returns, but Brunson has clearly earned Jason Kidd's trust. Next is Oklahoma City Thunder's Josh Giddy, who's rostered in 43.9% of leagues. In recent games, the Australian team has cleaned the glass at an impressive rate, pulling down at least 8 rebounds in 4 straight games. In some formats, Giddy's shooting numbers and turnover rate can be costly, but his floor game is already ideal for points leagues. Next is Chicago Bulls' Alex Caruso, owned in 28.8% of leagues. Caruso is a weekly inclusion in this space, and the market is likely overlooking his unique statistical contributions due to his lack of scoring pop. For example, he ranks second in the league in steals per game and is just outside the top 50 in total assists. Caruso, who is most valuable in roto and category formats due to his exceptionally high steal rate, continues to provide value. Now we'll move on to the shooting guards. First up, we've got Philadelphia 76ers' Seth Curry, who's owned in 60.1% of leagues. Curry has shown some serious shot creation skill in a career-scoring season with the Sixers, sinking half of his catch-and-shoot shots and ranking just behind the likes of LaMelo Ball and De'Aaron Fox in points per game on pull-up shots. Golden State Warriors' Jordan Poole, who's owned in 63.1% of leagues, is 18th in the NBA in three-pointers lofted, ahead of players like Fred VanVleet and Tyler Hero, and will likely be a valuable source of scoring and shooting for the rest of the season until Klay Thompson returns. Next up is Grayson Allen of the Milwaukee Bucks, owned in 25.7% of leagues. This season, only Stephen Curry and Kristaps Porzingis average more points per game on catch-and-shoot three-pointers than Allen. A high rebounding rate for a guard helps to offset low passing and defensive rates, while Allen is primarily a shooter in fantasy terms. Next up, we've got the small forwards, and we'll start off with Taylon Horton-Tucker of the Los Angeles Lakers, who's owned in 32.4% of leagues. It's unclear how consistent Horton-Tucker's role with the Lakers will be this season, but his impressive assist rate at 20.8% last season, combined with a strong 2.4% steal rate for his career, suggests that he has some real fantasy upside if the team gives him enough work. Next, we've got Dillon Brooks, owned in 27.4% of leagues, of the Memphis Grizzlies. Brooks, who averages a career-high 15.8 shots per game and makes 44% of his three-point attempts, clearly just deserves more attention from fantasy owners. Next, we've got the power forwards. We'll start off with Toronto Raptors' Chris Boucher. He's currently owned in 53.3% of leagues. With some statistical momentum heading into Sunday's game against Golden State, it's easy to forget that Boucher was third in the league in total blocks last season before falling to the fringes of Toronto's rotation this year. Boucher, who can build valuable lines if given enough burn, could be worth stashing to see if his recent upstick in playing time lasts. Next up, we've got Lauri Markkanen, who's owned in 37.8% of leagues. Markkanen, who was no longer listed on the team's injury report heading into Monday's game against Brooklyn, could return to the court after a 9-game absence due to COVID-19 protocols. With Colin Sexton out, the stretch forward could see increased scoring duties, and his season average of 2.2 combined blocks and steals helps his fantasy profile. Well guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Jump Ball Central, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a video. See you all next time.